Today we are making these beauties. We're going to make these 2 handmade sketchbooks, zine styles. What? Welcome to Mace Made. I'm Courtney. I put the Mace in Made, and we here together on my channel we make ugly art, because ugly art is good, releases perfectionism, and is good for your mental health. So welcome. So glad you're here. We're going to make these 2 lovely handmade sketchbooks out of a single piece of paper. This one was out of a very large piece of paper. You'll see in a minute. This one was out of an A3. I'm just waiting for some paint to dry inside, so I don't want to shut it. Yeah, so we're going to make them, and then you're going to watch me. We're going to actually fill this one up with some artwork. Yeah. Let's get straight into it. So I've got 2 different size papers here. I've got one mega big size here, which I'm really excited to have play around with. And I've got just an A3 size piece of paper. And we're actually going to start with this one. We're going to start with the A3 piece of paper. I've got here, so I've got these paints that I bought ages ago. They're Montmartre. They're fairly cheap. I think I got them from a $2 shop. I just really like their colours. Like there's a peachy colour. I've got this magenta colour, but they're for paint pouring. They're not particularly expensive, and I thought I'm going to use it for this. I've got a couple of different inks. I've got some regular paints. I've got all sorts of things here that I'm going to throw at this. And so basically when I first do this, I just basically want to put down a colour all the way across. I don't do a solid colour because I think that's a little bit boring. I would rather have a mix of colours. And so when you eventually fold it, each page will be different. I'll put a little bit of these colours down. So that's actually quite a bit of paint there, but as I'm doing it, if I've got any extra, I'm going to put it over on my big piece of paper, which is just over there. I've got a couple of different brushes here. It doesn't really matter what brush. I'm just going to start spreading her out. And so sometimes I've done this in the past where I've actually used like a card or a squeegee to kind of spread it around. So I'm not going to do that with this one. I might do that with the bigger one. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. I'm going to kind of set that aside to dry, that first layer. And I'm going to get my monster sheet. And you can see I've kind of already started. Yeah, you can already see where I've started putting down some of that colour. You know, I'm just going to keep adding to it. So I've done the basic backgrounds of my papers. This is the smaller one. I am just going to add some extra marks and I'm actually going to add some collage to it. So I've actually got these 2 bits of paper that I just filled with a bit of watered down gouache, because I was going to do the same thing, but I actually didn't like how they turned out. So I'm actually going to cut some shapes out of it to glue onto the other sheet. I've got the Flow Books Lovers of Paper Flow Books, can't remember the exact names. I think I'm going to pull some papers out of there and stick them on as well. And I'm not going to be strategic, because when I fold it, I want it to be random. Do you know what I mean? So let's have a look. Let's go. I've got here, I've got paint, I did collage. I've also put a layer of matte medium over the top because the paint there is quite thick. I put a bit of Collage down and everything. Yeah, so I put a layer of matte medium over the top. It's still a bit sticky, so I don't think it's 100% dry, but I'm so excited to get using this. So this is the A3 page. Let's have a look at how we make the zine. So all you really need for this is a pair of scissors. I'll show you, there are things you can do that sometimes the edges can be a little bit messy, and you can fix that up. I will even link together down the bottom Helen Wells. She shows you how to neaten up those edges really nicely. We'll see if I could be bothered at the end. So this is our A3 piece of paper. We're basically going to do some folding into quarters and then eighths, and that's basically it. So I'm actually going to flip it over to the white side. Now where I've got the collage is actually quite thick, so I'm just going to do that. So I'm just folding it in half. This is just a half in half this way. You want your folds to be super folded, because you want your folds to be super folded. There's the tip of the day. Oh, that's a nice sound, isn't it? The reason why you really want to get those folds nice and crisp is because it just goes together nicer. So instead of unfolding that at this point, I'm actually just going to fold up this half. So I've got it in half like this. I'm basically going to make like a W fold in it. So I'm going to go like this and fold this part in half again. Trying to do it as neatly as I can. And again, you want that fold nice and smooth. You can hear, I just don't think I've left my matte medium long enough, but yeah, I'm going to use my nails in this bit because I'm on the rough side of the paper. Then I'm going to flip it, and I'm literally just going to do the same to the other side. Lining up all those edges as best as I can. This is one of the easiest zines you can make, and there are so many tutorials out there. So if this doesn't make sense to you, you will find one out there that does. So you can see, I don't know, it depends which way you look at it. It's either an M or a W. Okay, when it's up, it's a W. So I've got now in quarters like this. So I'm actually going to flip it over, and I'm just going to fold it in half long ways. I don't know how true it is. When I was planning for this, ChatGPT told me this is also called a hot dog zine. I don't know if that's accurate or not. I don't know. You guys might be able to tell me. Sometimes if you've got super thick paper and you're trying to do really crisp folds like this, if you've got like a 300 GSM watercolor paper, the paper will actually crack. But I think because my paper's quite thin, initially, it's only where I've collaged it, it's thicker, and I used quite a bit of matte medium. It seems to be holding together. Right, so I've done that. I've just unfolded it again. Now all I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it in half the other way again. Okay, so you can see I've got the opening here and my fold is this side. That's important. I'm going to grab my scissors. Hopefully these are nice and sharp. And I'm going to cut. So I'm going to cut from the folded edge into that quarter fold. So this fold here. So I'm going to just cut along that middle fold until I get to the center of this bit, which is where they cross over. So you can see there's a little cross there. I'll just get a pencil and show you. So there's, you know, one crease comes down here, the other crease comes along like this. Where that is, that's where I'm going to fold to. Okay, so I'm just going to cut from the folded edge. That's important, because if you cut from this edge, it just won't work. So I'm going to cut from the folded edge. I repeat that because when I do this with kids at school, that's the bit they tend to stuff up. So along that crease line all the way to that middle point where the two folds cross over. Okay, and basically what you'll have is a monster mouth. Oh, nom 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 nom. Sorry, That's what I do with the kids to make sure they've done it right. This bit's tricky to explain. Once you know how to do it, it's easy, but it's tricky to explain. So I'm going to take it and I'm just going to fold it along the long edge. Now I'm not going to press it real hard because see how these are coming out like this? That's what I want. Okay, so I want to make a mouth, so I've just folded that in half, but when I push slightly, it makes a diamond in the middle. Okay, so I've got my folded edge up the top here. All right, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to push them all the way together, and you can see how they're moving. That means I've folded it well. This bit is easier when you fold it well. So if I actually bring this one to this way, this one this way, to be honest with you, that but doesn't matter. If you want to put the other one that way, that doesn't matter. And then you're going to, sometimes you might have a look at the sides and say which one you want the cover. I like that side a little bit better, so I want this to be the cover. So I'm actually going to fold it around this way. And you can see it kind of struggles a little bit, so I'm going to put it down. I'm going to fold it again, and I'm just going to press it all down. And that's essentially the zine. That's it. So one thing you can do is you can actually glue all your pages together so they don't do that. I'll show you the easiest way to do that in a minute. Yeah, so this bit here is what I was talking about not lining up. It's pretty common. Unless you've got a super thin piece of paper, these bits are not going to line up very well. That doesn't bother me though. So if it bothers you, you can literally come along and with a metal ruler and a scalpel and cut that down. I'm going to unfold it again, and I'm actually going to put some glue. Now, I've got here, the glue that I've got here is actually just the same matte medium I've been using the whole time. So I'm actually going to do that. And it's important just to go slow with this. So you don't need heaps. I would suggest literally just putting some around the outside. I obviously haven't washed that brush properly because there's purple on it. Do you know what else works well? Oh, and I've just seen one. Another thing that works well is just a regular glue stick, and I'm going to use that for the rest of it just to show you. You don't have to have fancy glue for this bit because again, this is just a sketchbook. It doesn't have to be perfect. And you literally just want to kind of put glue all over it. It's a bit quicker with a glue stick, as you can see. Then when we're putting it back together, you've just got to be very careful. So at first, we only want these two end ones to stick together. So when we fold it in half, press down those two end ones, but make sure you've still got that mouth because we're going to, I'll go back this way, same way as before, we're going to push those back together again. And I think that was the cover, wasn't it? And then I'm re-putting it together. All right. And you can see, yeah, now those are stuck together. It just kind of holds together a little bit better when you stick it. I do like it. And look, and it's even lined up better because I've stuck it down. That's all stuck pretty well. I'm actually going to open it up like this and let it dry for another couple of hours because, like I said, I don't think my matte medium was quite dry enough. I'm going to have to do a different angle for me to do the larger one, but I'm going to fold it exactly the same way as this. Hey, Future Courtney here, just here to say thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. There's a little bit of a flip through of all the drawings I did. Thank you for watching. I hope you do this too. Let me know. Tag me over on Instagram at mace_made. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.